there's something very bizarre that's actually happening with our money, with our banks. Now, from the outside and from a broad scheme, you think, oh wow, crypto is doing phenomenal. Banks, I mean, they're turning it back around, it seems. I mean, no banks have closed. The stock market's doing good. I mean, everything seems to be doing better. And yes, when we think of Trump and hoping to get better, I believe we will see better days. However, there comes a point where we have too many problems with our dollar and we can't just keep kicking the can down the road. Well, today we're going to talk about what we should be putting our money in. What should we do with our cash? Because it comes down to the fact that we may be running out of time before we see a major correction or depression. Now, do I hope that Donald Trump can stop that? And I'm completely wrong. Absolutely. I hope that we see the best golden age possible. But I do believe we will feel a hiccup because of the bad trajectory that we've been placed on. It's kind of like rehabilitation after a surgery. Yes, the surgery was needed because we were broken. Then we got the surgery, and yes, it's going to be better on the other end. But man, there's a lot of rehab. There's a lot of work to be done to get it to that point. Well, I believe our economy is in the same spot. Today we're going to talk about some crazy reports that just come out dealing with our money. And then we're going to talk about what we should be doing with our money to hopefully hedge against a problem that could be happening. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Remember, we do giveaways each and every month. All it takes is you being subscribed to the channels, and we will put you in the drawing, and we're going to be doing giveaways on hundreds of dollars worth of things at the end of this month. So December 1st will be the drawing for the month of November. Now remember, I don't talk about this a lot, but remember, follow me on Twitter X. We share a lot, we repost a lot. A lot of these stories that we go off of is from independent journalists. So if you're wanting more information from me, follow me on X. My name is The Colby Mac on Twitter X. Please follow me there, and that way I can share more things with you. I can communicate a little bit better with you as well. Also, there's times that I would love to be able to communicate better with you when it comes to the comments here on YouTube or through email. A lot of times it's hard to do that. So there is another way that you can contact me via text or call. It's called Imminent. There's a link below. Don't feel obligated to do that, but if you have a question that's just something that you want answered and you think for some reason I can help, I would love to, and I'd love to speak to you and talk to you about that. So please check out that link from Imminent as well. Now let's talk about today's video, because that's the most important things, because we're talking about money today. Now this is just my opinions, but things that we need to go off of because the reports that we have seen. What can we do with our money? Because to me personally, I believe we're looking at a lit fuse to a point where if we don't change the trajectory, even if we do change the trajectory, like we were talking about the surgery, how can we get back on better footing when it comes to our money? Let's go over these reports right quick. There's a new report from Bravo's research. It says U.S. government debt market is starting to collapse. This is a massive implication for our economy. He talks about the U.S. government bonds being broken to a 40-year uptrend after experiencing one of the most painful bear markets in the 1980s. Treasury bonds, typically 40% of an investor portfolio, have led to big losses and very sharp declines. Since March 2020, gold has outperformed bonds by 100% amid surging government spending. Now, I told you before, even though you see gold going up and down right now because cash is going up, stock market's going up, it is your hedge. So you see it even in this report, it's still bringing value to you, because at some point in time, this debt has got to be covered. And really the only strong currency against that is the world currency of gold, because it is a precious metal that's been around for thousands upon thousands of years. It says government spending has risen from 3.4 trillion to 4 trillion just in 2 years. Constantly rising government spending financed by issuing treasury bonds is a major problem. This is caused by bond prices dropping significantly. 2024 treasury bonds issuance has expected to hit 1.9 trillion, meaning we're trying to cover our debts by issuing more bonds. Well, who's buying the bonds? All these countries that are tied to us are either the Fed, and basically it's like a carousel we're all trying to get on, and hopefully it's just going to keep on going, and eventually it's gonna stop. The level is higher than even the peak of the 2008 financial crisis. Now, if you remember a few weeks ago, I said this. The 2008 financial crisis was caused by subprime lending and by the housing market that kind of exploded. We are literally 3 to 5 times worse. It said even upwards of 7 times worse by the end of this year of what the market crashed in 2008. We're seeing 3 to 5 to even 7 times worse by the end 2024, a worse situation that could involve a crash. So meaning what caused it to crash was way less dangerous than what we're dealing with now, with more debts, with the fact that we have more treasury bonds, the fact that we spend too much, and the fact that our money is not as sound as even it was back in 2008. Is that not nuts? And then it goes through a lot of other topics. I mean, like the aging population. People are not having children. So the fact is, again, we base our system on a, Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare as people are younger paying into a system to take care of the individuals that are a little bit older in our society because they've worked so hard and because we have a bad system with Social Security and with Medicaid and Medicare. It should have been individually, but it wasn't. Again, another video for another day. But because we have this broken system, we're needing people to pay into it to cover the loss and the problems that it has faced for all these years. Well, guess what? People are not having children. The populations are not working. So therefore, they're not putting enough money into the Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. So therefore, the government's having to either not fund it or fund it more. So again, we're going in more debts to cover all the programs that we have made in America. And again, it wasn't the fact of the population doing it wrong. It's the fact that we were made to invest in a system that was already broken. Prime example, I want you to listen to what Senator Tupperville just said. He says he reveals that U.S. military has 44 four-star generals. Now, there's never been a reason to have 44 four-star generals. You kind of take the fact of how valuable that is because you just keep making more generals. But listen to what they have. Each one of those 44 generals has a $250 million budget. And each of those 44 generals have 2,000 employees. Now, we talked about the government spending just the other day on some of the most frivolous things like, monkey yoga and goat yoga and why do monkeys throw their feces? I mean, some stupid stuff. And yes, I want protection for a nation, but do we actually need 44 generals with a $250 million budget each with 2,000 employees each? No, that's called fluff. We have got way too much government waste going on. The problem is not the money that the government's taking in, it's the money that they're spending frivolously. I want you to listen to what Thomas Massey said, and this goes back to what Trump is trying to do. Thomas Massey said, for most of our country's history, the federal government funded themselves with tariffs. There was no reason for an income tax. The budget was mostly balanced. The federal spending was less than 10% of GDP. Less than 10% of GDP. I think we're over 100% of GDP now. That's why we're running in a deficit each and every year. What have we done? We've destroyed our economy. We've destroyed people wanting to have children because they say they can't afford it anymore. We're destroying our Social Security and our Medicaid and Medicare because the way that we developed it and formulated it was bad because we relied on new generations of people that are not having babies and producing more income to go into those systems. It's a broken system. Now, before we get into any more news, there's some good news that is happening that Trump is starting to do and what he's wanting to do with this administration. Also, we're going to talk about what we're doing with our money personally and what I believe that you should be doing because we need to pay attention to it. But before we do, a word from the sponsor of today. Today's sponsor is Opus Solar. Opus Solar has a Black Friday special going on. Some of the best discounts that you'll ever get when it comes to solar generators, solar battery backups, and making sure that you have independence from a grid that could go down in a storm, could go down in any kind of situation, heavy winds. Opus Solar right now is having some huge discounts. Some of their product pricing is as low as 30 cents per watts per hour. That is a tremendous discount. There will be a link below to show you all those discounts. Now, personally, I like the Mega 3. I have a Mega 3, and then I also have a smaller unit that I use if I'm backpacking or if I'm fishing. Why should we choose Opus, and what makes Opus so great? Opus not only has these discounts, but they have some of the most affordable pricing when it comes to battery banks or solar generators. Now, this is my favorite, contact support. Now, one thing about having things like battery banks and solar generators, sometimes you have these things, you buy these things, and all of a sudden you can't get help to understand them. They have some of the best customer support that you could even imagine. With Opus Solar, I actually had a little hiccup, and it was actually my fault. I actually had something hooked up wrong, but it allowed me to be able to call them, walk through the steps. They helped me, got it back up and running, because the last thing you need is to have this unit and not be able to use it in the midst of an emergency. Also, if you're not happy with it, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. Do not miss out on some of the best specials and the best deals that you can get, as they have this promotion for Black Friday going on. They have sizes from backpacking all the way up to covering your whole home. This may be just the perfect Christmas gift for any prepper or anyone who wants to live more sustainable. And not only do they have the Black Friday deals going on right now, they have a flash sale going from November 29th to December 2nd. This is going to be some of the lowest prices offered by Opus and by any other company when it comes to a solar generator. So if you're looking for home backup, if you're looking for outdoor recreation, or if you're looking for work, they have all kinds of generators just for you and solar battery banks. You have the mega versions, which are the ones typically for your home. You have the outdoor recreations, which tends to be your backpacks, your Exoduses. You also have some called the Tritons, which are perfect for professional work. One thing that doesn't have to do with their Black Friday special, but I bring this up every time I talk about Opus. Opus has what they call Opus Help. Everyone faces challenges from time to time. Opus Help empowers those in need by providing critical emergency power during life's toughest moments. With 5% of sales dedicated to this cause, we support individuals facing crisis, including medical treatments and emergencies, offering help and relief. Together, let's power a brighter tomorrow. Listen to what Opus has done, what they've done. 160 plus helps that they've done, 35,000 kilowatts per hour saved in 49 states. That's the kind of company that we like to be tied to. Check out Opus Solar today. I'm going to leave a link below. There's also a 5% discount code. Some of these units are at the lowest price, so you may not even need the 5% discount, and you may not can get it because it's even lower than what I can offer you. But others have the flash sale, and also you have a 5% option when it comes to the promo code that we have below the max. Do not miss out on this opportunity to protect yourself. Yes, it's great for outdoor recreation. Yes, it's great for fishing. Yes, it's great for having fun, camping, doing whatever you like to do outdoors. But more than that, having sustainable access to energy. This is a game changer. Don't miss out on this Black Friday special from Opus Solar. Thank you, Opus, for sponsoring today's video. All right, now some good things. Again, just because I say this is bizarre, because we may be fixing ourselves to a point where, yes, we have Elon and Vivek doing this exterior style advisory board that's going to basically say this is the waste that we have. Rand Paul's done this, Ron Paul's done this, but I think now they have the president's ear, and I'm hoping that we start making a difference. But what's so funny is because of the appointments that Trump is doing, his appointment with Robert Kennedy, there's been a lot of people that work for HHS saying that now they're going to retire, resign, or quit because they don't believe in his mantra or his thought pattern. Also, Pete Hegseth, when he got put in as SecDef, there were several of the generals and several of military officers and people that work at the Pentagon, that's the civilian side, that says we're not working for this guy, he's unfit. So some of this is already helping itself, because you may see some of that fluff already resolve itself. And then on top of that, having Vivek and having people like that that's willing to say this is where we need to cut. Now, the bad part of that is when we start cutting, you're going to feel some pretty heavy blows to the public sector. Meaning, remember, that is what's actually ran our economy the last 3 to 4 years. Our economy has sucked under Biden-Harris. But what they've done is they've fluffed the government and the public sector and made it bigger, hiring more people to make it look like the economy is growing. It's actually not. It was just government money and government adding people. Well, when we start cutting that, that means you're going to feel a hiccup, because ultimately you are cutting the fat. You are cutting away some of the wasteful spending that we're doing. So that's going to hurt automatically. Now, they'll probably get severances, and they'll probably find ways to help them and get tax credits to get them new jobs in the private sector. But this is what part of healing does. It's kind of like the surgery. It's kind of like the surgery we talked about a while ago. We have to go through the problem to make the break a fix, and the fix to rehab to a better situation. We need more people off the government dole, and that means the public sector workers who are not needed. Does every general need 2,000 employees with a $250 million budget? No. Now that's just the Department of Defense. That's not even all the other departments. We have 428 federal agencies. And you don't think we need to have some cutting there? We do. If we don't, we're going to see almost like a Great Depression Now, we can spend it all we want, and that's exactly what's happened in the last 4 years, and what's happened really the last 20 to 30 years, is that we have just kicked the can down the road, hoping we can just dig ourselves out of the hole by getting more debt, issuing more bonds, and ultimately just being the currency of the world. Yes, the dollar's doing better, but it can't withstand the problems. Now, luckily, Trump is coming in and hopefully going to make some changes. But until then, or to the fact that we have to go through that surgery we showed about, what should we be doing? Now, let's talk about it. Now, yes, you can, like, for instance, what I just said about the solar generator. You may want to find alternative ways to spend money on things that you need every day, such as energy. That's a great investment. Did you see the fact that just in Utah, the lady climbed up on the transformer and shut down power for hundreds of people? They said almost 1,000 people were shut down just because some lady climbed a fence. Now, what does that mean? That means our grid is probably vulnerable when some lady in a skirt can climb a fence and get on transformers and shut down power. So let's think about that. If all of a sudden a big government didn't like us, or a hacker didn't like us, they could probably do a whole lot worse, couldn't they? So alternative energy may be a plan for you. It may be petroleum-based generators. It may be solar battery banks. It may be things like what we just talked about with the solar generator with the solar panels. I'll be honest with you. I bought one last week. I got a brand new one. But that doesn't mean that's a good investment for you. You need to find out what that investment is. I had an individual the other day said he figured out how to way to run his water and pump water out of the well. All it took was him learning a new way. So he spent his money on things that brings value to his family and home. So number one is that, figuring out what utility or what you need to make sure that you are protecting your basic necessities. So that doesn't deal with cash, gold, or deal with anything like that. It deals with the fact of just living. If you have no source of water or source of food, how are you going to live? You know, that's alternative energy. What about seeds? Have you thought about growing gardens? It could be in pots. My wife's channel, she just did a walkthrough of all our homestead, and you can go and check that out on her channel. We've done tons of homestead tours on this channel and that channel. Go check them out. But we show you how to grow food in pots. Right now, this is the easiest time to grow. Fall and winter gardens are easy. You can grow in pots and grow everything you need to be sustainable. Have you thought about that and how ways that you can make sure that you're using money wisely? Sometimes when we put up cash or we put money in the bank, is it really growing when the fact that inflation's back up? Inflation is back up to where it once was, but no one's talking about it because of all the other stuff going on. So what's actually happening to our money, and what these reports are showing, is we've lived in a false sense of security that our money is safe. You know why, the crypto's going up? Well, because they believe President Trump will be a crypto president, will embrace it. There's nothing wrong with that, but remember, you know why there's so many people embracing crypto is because it's a falsity of money. Now, you cannot agree with that. You can buy crypto and have fun with it and play with it, but ultimately, your money is on an exchange that you really don't know what you're buying. You're not buying tangible goods. So I'm not saying don't buy crypto. I'm just saying be wise with your money. And is that the wisest way to spend your money, or putting in savings? Or is it better to look at the alternative energy, the food, the seeds? Now, you heard in this report, gold has actually went down a little bit, but it's still at record highs based on where it was just 3 years ago. It's beating out the fact that the government keeps trying to borrow money against it, and borrow money against its own value, which is really not based on anything but the air that we're breathing. Speculative. So, have you thought about buying gold? I talked to a gentleman 2 days ago, and he was buying more gold. Now, was that a good investment for you? It may not be. Silver may be great for you. Or you may say, hey, I just need to put some cash right now because I don't have the money to buy that kind of stuff. That's okay. But you got to make sure that you're doing something to hedge against the problems of a major fallout. If you have all the money that you have in retirements and they're all in a 401k or 403b or an IRA, if you have all that exposed to the market, what happens when it crashes? Do you have any fallback? Do you have any fallback with gold? Do you have any fallback with real estate? And we'll talk about real estate in just a second. Have some hedge against that. Remember, I work for a company, and to be honest with you, I have a 401k. I've got it going right now in very conservative funds. I don't have it in target funds as much right now. I have it in conservative money market accounts to where it can't really lose to the market. It's not really gaining money, but at least it's safe until we figure out what this trajectory is for the next 4 years. I think it's good, but I do believe we're going to see some hiccups. So I'm trying to be wise with where my investments are. Let's talk about real estate. Let's talk about what we have. Are you budgeting smart? Remember, your money is not changing as much as the inflation is going up. So you may get a raise, but it's not going to be enough to cover all that inflation that we're having to pay at the grocery store and gas pump. So until hopefully Trump gets that stuff down because of the environment that he's making with a better economy, you have to prepare for that. So are you on a budget? Look, we're getting to a point where everybody spends money at the end of the year. They go with vacations, they go see family, they buy Christmas gifts. That's all great and all, but make sure you have a budget for it and make sure you're being wise. And if you are buying those gifts, what about buying the things that we already talked about? Things that are valuable to families and not just frivolous garbage. Not just merchandise stuff that's going to break in 2 days. With our kids, the same way, we've thought, what can we do to invest in our children, to give them something for Christmas that's not just toys? So we find different avenues for that. We find ways to make sure that we're building them up with other means and better assets and value and life skills, so then they get to the next level and it's not just frivolously spending. So are we being smart with our money with budgeting? Are you paying down your debts? Are you living in a home that you can't afford? It might be time to sell. If you can't afford it, are you trying to get it off of you as quick as possible? Is there ways that you can invest in your home that brings value? Like we were talking about the water pump, the alternative energy, the big gardens, bringing animals on your land. You don't have to live on a big farm to grow food. We've shown you in tons of videos in our playlist, the prepping needs and things like that. Go back and check that list out. There's all kinds of ways to grow food and be completely sustainable in a city neighborhood. You may be laughed at by your neighbors, but ultimately you'll be the one providing what you need for your family. So time is running out. The market is going crazy bizarre because it's going up. We see the fact that people realize that we don't have much time. Most economists say we're going to see a hard part of time somewhere in 2025. I want you to listen to this Billionaire report. Now again, remember, they're billionaires for a reason. And not that we look up to billionaires and they know everything, but I want you to listen to what this report shows with billionaires. It says all the richest billionaires are selling their market shares of a lot of the assets they own, while the poorest are going all in, such as crypto and buying into all these little small stocks to try to get rich quick. People will never learn, and if you really follow the money of what these billionaires are doing, you really see how bad the market is. It's made up of a lot of speculation and not true wealth. Now you hear this is potentially growing tons of wealth. Yes, but if it's a false sense of speculation and it's not based on true money, why do you think all these billionaires are pulling out of it? You'd think they'd want to stay in and just keep making tons of billions, remember? No, but they're being smart. Warren Buffett pulled out. He's got a lot of cash on him. Jeff Bezos, same way. He bought a lot more real estate and kind of out of the market a lot more. Zuck, he's trying to get away from the social presence, and he actually said, I'm looking at more libertarian views, so he's buying things like homes, real estate. He's buying things that are tangible right now. So we see a list of billionaires that are pulling out. They're actually pulling out of the market. Now, is that smart for you or me? May not be. But when we learn to look at what people are doing, and they may be wise in certain aspects of their life, why can't we learn from that instead of just listening to what the media is feeding us? I think we're going to see a hiccup. And if we quit buying into the system, we're probably definitely going to see a hiccup, because they're needing you to keep going in debt. They're needing you to be more dependent on the government. They're needing you to buy in the system that you should just raise our taxes and get better, and that's how you fix the world. It's not at all. If you go back to just 50, 60, 70 years ago, that was unheard of to have the taxes we have now. So think if we just went back to 100 years where it's just tariffs were the way that we did it and you had more income. Just think if you didn't have to pay 20 or 30 or 40% of your income going to taxes and all these social programs. Just think if we could develop a better program. Let's go back to the surgery. The surgery was needed because we had a broken something. We've got it mended in surgery, and yes, there's time to heal, but ultimately we're going to come out on the other side better. We have reached somewhere almost like the golden age, but because of this bizarro world that we live in, we believe that public sector can rescue us and that the government can keep giving us money and stimulating the economy. All the while, Trump is starting to change that. But remember, when he changes it, it's not the fact that he is doing it, it's the fact that he has been dealt a hand of cards that's almost a lose-lose. So yes, do we hope that we're wrong and that the economy can just all of a sudden grow and actually be based on real money and real wealth and trajectory of getting on a balanced budget for our Congress to back? Absolutely. I hope I'm completely wrong. But when the billionaires are saying it, the best economists from both sides of the aisle are saying it, the fact that our other governments are not buying our bonds anymore, the fact that the Fed is really up in arms about what to do, the lower interest rates not helping, the fact that our banks are upside down and real estate issues and debts, all signs are showing we should prepare for 2025. Take this list and learn from it and find ways that you can utilize spending for you. What benefits you? Make a list of things 1 through 5, what you could purchase that could benefit you. Alternative energy, water, a pump of some sort, medicines. Is it putting more cash up? Is it learning how to budget better? Is it learning to buy some gold and some things to hedge against the market? Is it trying to dive deeper and understand what the market is and understand what crypto is? And so it might be knowledge. That costs nothing. It's free. Let's get better. If we want to see America great again, it actually starts at our homes more than it does the government. And when we start making sure that our homes are safe and our financial houses are in order, when the government falls out or has major problems or has a crisis or crash, it won't affect you as much because you have been prepared. That's all we're trying to do. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, our goal is not to preach to you about the economy. You know it, you feel it each and every day. But it's the realization that we may have to go through the surgery and we may have to go through the rehab, but on the other side, it's going to be better. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.